Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today. I'm sorry. I'm just, it's, so here's the thing. We've got the 10 of cups in its reversal in combination with the 5 of wands in its reversal. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the gift that some of this multi-ball energy is bringing us right now. What do I mean when I mean multi-ball? So we're going through a Gemini season, unlike any Gemini season we have had for a while. Why? Because I like to say, we love Gemini energy. And it's positive. It is dynamic. It is adaptable. It is all about adaptation. It is the ability to think lightly on the feet. It's about spontaneity, right? It's moving through things. And it's also like built into the space of the gift that we have. It's a very communicative, like the Gemini itself is a very communicative sign, because often it talks about the fact that when like you're working on something up here and then you bring it out here, like having that, like the wall of another that allows for that ability to move something back and forth, right? The processing energy, right? The refinement in communication. It can feel very exciting and it can be very productive. At the same time, it can sometimes be carried over into feeling a little overwhelming. It can feel a little too quick, right? And what we're having right now, okay? And I was trying to tell you guys this before we had that new moon energy recently. We're currently in Gemini season, okay? Jupiter is also in Gemini. What are the odds? Mercury is in Gemini, okay? And I got to tell you, Uranus may as well be in Gemini because it's getting really close to it. It's very close to the meridian of Gemini. So it can feel very activating right now. And what's interesting about it, and one thing I picked up that we spoke about yesterday, is we kind of went through what I would like to describe as a pseudo Mercury retrograde last week. Like I was kind of telling you guys, it felt a little Mercury retrograde in here because here's the thing. We weren't technically going through a Mercury retrograde. But if I was trying to like duplicate the energetic feeling of a Mercury retrograde via astrologically, might I suggest that Mercury in Taurus with Saturn transiting into Aries would be very close. A lot of feelings of the past coming up, getting frustrated by, again, that the slow crankiness of potentially technology or communication, potentially a huge opportunity to get wires crossed, right? So now, and this is what I want you to be conscientious about, is while we're not necessarily going through an eclipse, this feels pretty close to one. Because again, it's the same thing. If you were to ask me, if you were trying to create an eclipse energy without there actually being an eclipse, what would you do? I would be like, well, you could take all the planets and jam them in Gemini and see what happens. It's like, it's like, boom, boom, boom. Let's watch. I don't know, man. Right? It's like, and so I've been describing this energy right now as like multi-ball because it's just like the pinball energy, but it's like lots and lots of stuff happening all at once. That's why I was telling you guys, make sure you enter this time of this season with your manifestations on lock, like keeping your priorities in the space that you need them to be, because it can feel like a lot coming at you at once. But again, as someone who's a pinball aficionado, what is the secret to multi-ball? The secret to multi-ball is when you're playing multi-ball, you don't look at everything. You don't look at the balls, okay? Like you don't look at the balls. You focus on what your goals are. You focus on where they're going to be. You focus on where that, like what that energetic outcome is. So if you're feeling this right now, I want you to find steadiness. That's why I told you guys, make sure that you're entering this period. I wrote a lot about this in our Mystic Meditations article that I posted over on my Substack of last week in relationality to this energy. Keep steady by grounding in your manifestation goals. Now, this is what we see right now, because the thing is, and this is the beauty of energy like this, it helps one find efficiencies. It helps one recognize things that feel easier, but it can often bring up those moments or recognitions in terms of how we're blocking the self. This could even be the observation, like, and that's the thing I keep on seeing. Something that you see now. Sometimes one of the signs that we've awakened to something is when we see something clearly now. We like past self couldn't see that. This is happening for a lot of this energy, these new partnerships that are occurring right now, specifically in what I like to describe as magician energy right now. Center card for today's spread. There it is, right? Nine of Swords in its upright, right? This is the ability I keep on hearing, like for a lot of the energy and separation, it's clear to see now. And this is why I keep on seeing that sometimes when we communicate through something, right? And this is the beauty that Gemini often recognizes. When we communicate things, we see things we did not see, right? When we're able to talk about something. And so I like this because I keep on seeing that this is very bittersweet for some of the energy right now in separation, because building into these partnerships, these magician partnerships, where again, what is the prioritization point? Authenticity, right? When we build into authenticity with someone who likes our energy, right? Not coming into a space of conditionality, right? I feel like this is a lot of energy that is releasing some kind of like deep wounds in relationality to situations or circumstances wherein it felt like another person was trying to change them in ways that they did not aspire or desire or feel inclined to change. Because one of the big messages that we see that's been occurring right now is the recognition that relationship in any capacity is not a place that we go for stagnancy. We understand that relationship is where we evolve. But when we're evolving, right, that evolution, it feels beautiful, right? This is what we talk about in the space of saying, like, our partners don't save us, but they help us move us into the space of productivity in relationality to what we aspire and feeling energetically supported in that way. But similarly, when we are in unhealthy relationships, it sometimes creates that opposite moment, that feeling that we're being energetically pulled apart in ways that we don't aspire or desire to, right? That picking apart that feels like we start losing a sense of ourselves, right? This is often why, like, you know, we sometimes start feeling those, and this navigating through that space of change is also important and necessary, but it can often feel very, very triggering. It can feel very, very weird, because what do we see that's happening right now? We see a lot of the energy that is in separation coming to terms with situations or circumstances in the past, wherein, again, this is often what we say. Like, I see someone saying, like, and even talking to each other, right? The ability to remain in something, to try to fix it, that had to occur in the space of recognizing that the only way to fix something was to change in a way that another person saw either as absolutely impossible or some way that they did not desire and aspire to. I can hear a lot of this energy relinquishing the grief of those circumstances, because that's the energy that in that moment that they're able to articulate that. There's a lot of that space that is the identification point. And I keep on hearing a lot of the energy in separation saying to one another, like, this is the consolation, right? We should do everything we can to try to maintain a relationship, but not lose ourselves in the process, right? And so I keep on hearing that there's something about that, like working through a lot of that heaviness. This is beautiful because this is the energy that is observing what it means to be in the process of healing. And the process of healing isn't coming into the false narrative of saying, oh, it's fine, I didn't care about it in the first place, right? Like, never are we less mature than when we look back on something and go, it didn't mean anything to me, right? It didn't mean anything to me. It's being able to talk about why something had meaning. It's working through the hard part. And why are they working through the hard part? Because these are the hard part becomes the foundation of these energetic relationships, right? They're having conversations about their boundaries, what they feel comfortable with, what they don't. And they're not building into that falsehood where they're saying that they're up for anything. Because when we say that we're up for anything, we're often articulating the fact that we're people pleasing, right? It's that conscientious moment that we recognize and identify where we talk about like what the structure is. I just keep on seeing that a lot of this energy is doing that work and healing from the falsehood of rejection, understanding that if we're in our authenticity, and we articulate something that we feel isn't for us, and another person says like that's like, like that's a deviate, like that's a separation point, then that's the energy that is able to come into that respectiveness. Because this is, again, often I'm seeing even now with a lot of this energy, Saturn moving into Aries, what does the healthy relationship say? Time is precious. And being able to articulate upon the preciousness of time, this is a lot of that energy that is working through. They're not beating around the bush, right? They're not pussyfooting around something saying we'll come to it eventually. They're saying we're going to just do it now. We're going to have that conversation now, because the gift that we give each other is making sure that we're in alignment. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into, wow, divine union, we've got, this is a lot of cards. We're going to see a lot of this happening right now because we're working in the array. Okay. So Gemini energy is all about the array. It's the ability to understand that when we focus on a single thing, it opens up possibilities around us. This is the conversation that we have in relationality to the work from Taurus into Gemini, right? When we do something that's hard over and over and over again, we carve that groove, right? And it's beautiful because I love the journey. I know that they seem very different, but what's really beautiful when you look at the conversation between Taurus and Gemini, it really says to us that when we talk about the conversation between nature and nurture, what's beautiful about the transition point between Taurus to Gemini says everything is possible so long as you have the fortitude and tenacity in order to move towards it, right? Because Taurus energy is all about like moving into the space of creating that groove, right? It's working through that pathwork of determination. It's pushing through. It's like the plow through the earth that's too difficult, right? And you do it over and over and over again. And when you start, it feels impossible. And it feels like, and you don't want to do it. And you want to give up on yourself. And you just keep on working with determination towards something until the one day comes, right? When something that you used to have to put all of your effort in doing, you do it without thinking. You just fall into it, right? It suddenly becomes muscle memory. So what's beautiful about that is often we see that the journey between Taurus to Gemini is talking about being able to work through the energetic frustration of pushing through on something and then suddenly having that wild transformative moment where you're able to say, I think it's working. I think it's working. And it can feel very giddy. It can feel very exciting. It can also feel somewhat destabilizing. This is what we talk about with the heart opening, right? We spoke a lot about this. We saw this happening a lot during that Scorpio full moon, right? We don't heal the heart space to make room for trauma. We heal the heart space so then when we feel the unreality that often happens when we're able to find a new sense of peace and relationship, we find the fortitude within the self to be able to maintain it. So what I keep on seeing is like, I keep on hearing like there's a lot of this energy right now that is coming into divine union that almost feels like a little bit of energetic disorientation, as it were, because that disorientation is almost like working through the surrealness of embodying the new reality of the peace that they're finding in relationship, right? It's giving me a little bit of that like walking on air vibes. But that's why that's why we see that for a lot of the energy being able to like navigate like that reality, being able to observe something in a way that they couldn't before, it can sometimes feel like the word surreal is coming up a lot here. And it's interesting too because the cards that came out, because I want to show you, because we had double cards coming out for the fourth and fifth card. We've got the Nine of Cups in combination, right, with the Page of Pentacles, adjusting to the new normalcy of the peace that they're finding in healthy partnership. And, right, working through with the Three of Wands and the Magician in its reversal, right, at the same time, healing from those inclinations of the trauma of the past that makes it hard to navigate how something can be energetically real, right? It's a lot of that work. It's a lot of that, like I keep on seeing like it's a little bit like I'm getting like it almost feels like a little bit of vertigo, if you will, because this is the energy that's saying like, what are they saying? Like, what is the song that you say as you come into healthy partnership? If I'd ever known, if I only knew, it would be this easy. But it's not easy, because it's like, it's not the fact that it's easy. It's being able to accept and embody the vulnerability that is required to be able to feel that, right? To feel that peace and not feel energetically triggered, because I keep on hearing this is the energy that's learning that it's safe to put the weapons down that the trauma told them that they had to hold on to. Continuing to get clarification for the energy deep within divine union, clarification between our 10 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our 5 of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Hanged Man in its upright. So for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, how do I put this best? I'm just recognizing and identifying that, how do I describe this? What am I seeing here? How's the best way to put this into words? There's something very important that is occurring as it relates to, it's working through the same thing that I said before, finding efficiencies, finding new ways of doing something, working on some kind of point of expansion. But I keep on seeing that that's because for some of the energy deep within divine union, building into a point of stability in something is expanding one's own perception on something. And so one of the things I'm also seeing, and I think that this is really important because it has a bit to do with some of the energy in Aries right now. And it has to do in the space of working on talking about things that are energetically important, right? Things that we feel are fixed. And there's something that I'm seeing about that point of feeling the fixing point has to do with something that centers and stabilizes us, is what I keep on seeing. And there's something about that energetic stabilization point that I'm seeing here for energy deep within divine union that it's almost like I feel like it's counterparts saying to one another to work through and identify what creates that point of stabilization. Like, and it's interesting too, because I keep on seeing that it's like, I feel like it's conversations on rest. I feel like there's conversations on making detailed, like detailing upon something. Like there's very nuanced conversations that are happening right now in partnership, but deep within divine union. But I keep on seeing that the thing that feels like it's a breakthrough is being able to identify or articulate on something that feels like an energetic missing piece, or being able to land upon something in a way that you're finally able to put it into words is what I keep on seeing, right? There's a lot of that. Like I keep on hearing it's like minute work that's happening right now, continuing to get clarification between our Five of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Swords in its upright. This is the difficulty point with the Knight of Wands in its upright is, I feel like the thing about, and I'm going to stress this. I was saying this earlier. Now, as I mentioned, there's something about this energy that almost feels like a pseudo eclipse is the best way I can describe this. And I keep on hearing, if that's the case, eclipse rules apply. Okay? And what are our eclipse rules? What are the eclipse rules that we always work towards when we see these eclipse cycles? Remembering, I keep on hearing, it's good, it's okay. This is a great time to be spontaneous in intentional ways. Spontaneous in intentional ways, which means like if you're trying to move something in the direction that you're building into a manifestation goal, like, and you see like something that allows you to like move something ahead in that way, this is a great kind of energy for it, much like eclipse cycles. But okay, this is what I'm going to tell you, because we got a lot of energy right now in Aries, and we got a lot of energy right now in Gemini, and the one thing that Aries and Gemini have in common, not a lot of patience. Okay, not a lot of patience. Geminis sometimes want to like run, like Geminis want to skip to the good part. They're like, the manual, right? like Geminis, right? And Aries can feel very overexcited about doing things, right? So there's a lot of that, like, there's a lot of that type of energy here. So it's good to like move something in the way of an aspiration or determination point. But I really want you to be careful about something that feels good in the moment. Something that feels like really sweet, right? Something that feels like, you know, like that like it feels like it serves the ego in just a way, like, you know, it's like that why I oughta kind of energy, like working in that capacity. But then recognizing and realizing that it's not best for the self. Okay? Like a lot of this, like no wild change energy for the sake of change right now. And Gemini, I'm talking to you. Okay? Because this is often something that we see that Geminis come to work through. What do Geminis often come here to work through? The difference between pragmatism and fickleness. What is the difference between pragmatism and fickleness? Pragmatism is being very adaptable, moving towards a manifestation goal. Practical, like being very adaptable to try to move towards a manifestation goal. Being fickle is changing for change's sake. And often changing for change's sake articulates an intolerance for being frustrated. Very much like Taurus in that way. Right? So we're working through that right now. So this is why we see that Gemini and Taurus, all the signs can learn, take a page from each other's book, right? Being able to work through patience, right? Working through frustration by being adaptable. That's a breakthrough, right? But when you're feeling frustrated and you say, this, okay, like no board flipping is what I'm saying, right? No board flipping, right? Like none of that type of stuff, because that is not, like, I'm telling you right now, there's just a little too much of this energy that feels like a little bit of this, like it felt really good at the time. I bet it did. I bet it would feel like nothing sweeter, huh? I know. And I'm going to come back to you and be like, don't tell me you did something when you had all the planets in Gemini and all the energy in Aries and said, but don't say to me, but I'm like, I don't want to hear any buts here. I don't care if it felt well-deserved. I don't feel if it felt like sweet. Okay? It's not about sweet. It's not about what feels sweet. It's what's right for the self. What moves in accordance towards manifestation goals. So please bear that in mind right now, especially in relationality to communication. No speaking hyperbolically about stuff. Okay? Please. I, I'm trying to help you out here. All right, continuing to get clarification between nine of swords in combination with our nine of cups, in combination with our page of pentacles in its reversal, heavy nine energy today. So a lot of that expectation, right? A lot of this Gemini energy can feel very expectant. Okay. All right. One card to clarify. Judgment, right? And so again, we're going through the same lessons here, which is fine. Listen to me, and I know it's a fine line. It's a fine line. We go through this during the eclipse cycles too. The difference between being spontaneous towards a manifestation goal is doing something quickly, right? But feeling like it's something that feels right, right? Versus what I want you to avoid is any of this board flipper energy. Like I don't want to hear any of that. Like no cranky decisions right now, right? Is what I'm seeing. And I want to say this right now. If you are in the middle of having a conflict with someone, and you think you misheard something, ask them to repeat it. Okay? Because here's the thing. We got Mercury in Gemini right now. We got Jupiter in Gemini. Okay? And the thing is, it's like while things may be moving very quickly, it's very easy to potentially get wires crossed or misunderstand something that someone said. So make sure that you're being energetically clear, especially in relationality to how, like, to what is occurring or what one is doing is all I keep on seeing. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Cups, our Page of Pentacles in its reversal, our Three of Wands in its upright, and our Magician in its reversal. There's that Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. So, and I told it's interesting too, because we're talking about like we're talking about like multi-ball here, right? So it sometimes feels like there's a lot happening, or you could be feeling like there's a lot happening all at once. So I keep on seeing when a lot of things are happening all at once, make sure you're double checking, right? Make sure that everything is not like if a lot of things are happening at once, just like I keep on seeing, double check those plans, double check the communication, right? Because that's like I keep on hearing, double checking is how you avoid dropping the ball during multi-ball, or that moment or those opportunities where I'm basically seeing that ability of being able to articulate upon something is, and I see it even more, and I gotta stress this. There's something I think really beautiful that's happening right now for a lot of the energy in separation. And something that I'm seeing for the energy in separation is it has to do with conversations in relationality to comfortability. It has to do with conversations in relationality. I keep on hearing to, and this is really beautiful too. I'm seeing some kind of situation or circumstance wherein for energy and separation, I told you these are those magician partnerships that are coming together right now, which is it's not the sense of being able to look at a past partnership and not see the fact that there wasn't a solution to a problem, but it's the observation of the fact that there are some things that we cannot bring ourselves to do in order to energetically maintain a connection. It's giving a lot of that, like I would do anything for love, but I wouldn't do that, because I keep on hearing that is the journey that we often have when we work through the fact that we recognize that we have different manifestation goals, right? Those moments of the observation of something that another is either demanding of us that doesn't feel like it's in alignment to us, or that feeling of not being perfect, someone who is picking another person apart constantly, that almost makes one feel like there's not much left, right? Like that feeling of constantly trying to change and almost feeling like you're being energetically erased in the process, right? And so what I see is really beautiful about this is a lot of the energy that is finding them that sense of self again. And what's beautiful about that is this is not the energy in separation that's finding the sense of self through another person. They're finding a sense of self because they're talking about how they felt in that connection, and another person is validating that experience. They're helping to see something more clearly. And it's in that moment that we feel seen, that we start to be reminded of who we energetically are. So there's something really beautiful about the fact that finding their authenticity, right? Coming towards partnership, seeking to be authentic. This is the energy that is finding themselves again because they're feeling the validation and being able to be their authentic self and be loved in that context. While for energy that is coming into divine union, clarification between our hanged man and that Knight of Wands. This is the energy that is working through the surrealness of the new reality of the peace that they're finding in partnership, right? It sometimes feels a little unreal, right? Like that modality of being able to see or experience what that energetic piece is. And it's not that it's perfect, right? This isn't the energy that says, oh, it's great. Like we never have an issue. We never have a conflict. But what happens in these moments? They're learning new ways through that conflict. They're learning new ways to communicate. They're learning new ways to work through circumstances without being triggered, without projecting. They're learning how to put those energetic weapons down. And in the modality or in the moment of being able to put those weapons down, they're able to find and maintain and sustain that energetic peace in the process. But I keep on seeing like this is the energy that understands or works through the fact that that peace is never found. It's made every day in the space of embracing the reality of what they're bringing forth with another, right? It's a lot of the work of just allowing oneself to talk through it instead of being triggered by it and feeling safe in order to do so. While for masculine and feminine, deep within divine union right now, clarification between our Knight of Wands in combination with our Judgment card. One card to clarify, please. There's that Seven of Cups in its reversal. And for a lot of the energy right now, the Seven of Cups in its reversal, how do I describe this best? This is very much similar to what we were talking about in relationality to being able to work on building into a point of focus, staying energetically focused, being able to stay on course. And what's beautiful about that is I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy in partnership right now, like working through like I keep on hearing an array of things that are happening, but being able to like find a way to just kind of move through something and set one's own pace in the process. It's giving me a lot of swan energy. And why does it feel like it's swan energy? Because swan energy is finding the ability, right? We talk about swan energy because when you see a swan, right? A swan looks very like smooth on the surface, but underneath, right? There's constant pedaling, right? There's constant rotation. So this is the energy that is working into that space, which is being incredibly productive in order to do something energetically gracefully, right? So it's a lot of that. And again, this is why we see, and it's interesting because this is also swan energy to a certain extent is kind of very much like Gemini and Taurus combined. Because how do you do something smoothly? You work like crazy at it. You keep on working. You grind away at something until it becomes fluid, right? So it's the fluidity that talks about the work, not the space. Again, how like the naturalness that occurs when we find the determination within ourselves to do something with ease, right? And so this is a lot of the energy that looks towards one another. And what do they say in that context? What do you need? Right? How can I make something easier? Continuing to get clarification between our Judgment card and our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. We've got here our Six of Cups in its upright. Now, for a lot of the energy right now in separation, I just keep on recognizing that I keep on hearing the word that's coming through is appreciation, which is, and I keep on hearing it's the difference between, I feel like I hear that for a lot of the energy in separation, it's the difference between criticism and appreciation, right? Because, and this is a lot of that continuation point that we saw that was occurring with that like Scorpio full moon in Taurus season. It's understanding that change, like that we come to relationships in order to change. But when we're in a positive space in relationship, when we're feeling that change in relationship and it feels like it fortifies, it is that moment where we build the appreciation for one another, right? It's the energetic gratitude that we have in relationality to identifying what we bring towards one another, what we try to do, right? It's seeing the bandwidth that another carries and appreciating, again, like Saturn going into Aries, appreciating the time, appreciating the recognition, appreciating the work that we do. Now, when we're in an unhealthy relationship, it can often feel, right? We don't have that sense of appreciation. It's that energy that feels like they're constantly criticizing, right? They're constantly tearing apart. It's that work that it doesn't feel like it's the building up, but the tearing down. And so I keep on seeing that what's happening for a lot of the energy that is building into these relationships, it is the energy that is articulating not about the fact, like, and this is what I keep on seeing, it's the nuance of the conversation in saying to another that the point of fault in the relationship of the past was not the fact that there was not change that was necessary, right? This is not the energy that said, I refuse to change, because when we're working on the self, we're constantly in a space of wanting to change. But this is the energy that is able to articulate upon the change, what was occurring in the space of the recognition. Welcome to, this is the Leo, this is Mars and Leo. Okay, what would have been, what was required, right? What was the change that one wanted to aspire and find within the self, right? Versus seeing and recognizing, this is like the sad thing for some of this energy that I'm seeing in separation right now. It's not the fact that there wasn't a path forward in order to maintain a relationship, but it felt too much like straying off of one's own path. It felt too much like it's giving me, again, this is the energy that says, and this is what they're saying to each other, and they're articulating this, that a healthy relationship is one that we see ourselves more moving towards it. We don't lose a sense of ourself in the process, So I keep on seeing that this is the energy that is talking about what changes they're trying to make within the self in order to feel that sense of alignment and learning to trust the process again with someone that is appreciative, that desires the same things, versus those modalities of past relationship wherein they may have felt that, again, it wasn't that they wanted the same thing, or another person was moving more in the space of saying, I don't change. You are the one who changes. I don't do anything. I just stay like this. You do all that, right? It's working through the mutual change that is required in order to build that point of sustainability. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, clarification right now between our sun card in its reversal and the 7 of Cups. This is why the energy right now coming into divine union, all of these are the chariot partnerships that we're forming from between the time that Mars stationed direct up until the point that Mercury and Venus went direct behind Neptune. These are the energies that are coming into the new reality of the easement that they're finding in partnership, right? Often the reason we heal is that moment that we're like, I can't believe it could be this easy. But this is the energy that says that easement, like the reason it's easing is because they're sustaining, right? They're not finding peace. They're making peace every day, because every day I keep on hearing they're learning to keep the weapons away, right? It's that moment of like, it's not that they're not feeling triggered. It's not that the past goes away. If trauma could be released, it wouldn't be trauma. Trauma never goes away. It's how we choose to address the trauma that arises as we navigate life's small things that helps us recognize and identify how we create that sense of sustainability. And so I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, they're working on those sustainability lessons. And this brings us to a lot of the energy right now deep within divine union, clarification between our sun card in its reversal in combination with our 7 of Cups in its reversal. There's that Knight of Cups. I got to tell you, we've got a lot of Knight right now, a lot of Knight energy here. We've got the Knight of Cups and we've got the Knight of Swords. I mean, the Knight of Wands. And what's beautiful about that is conversations built upon and based upon, I keep on seeing, talking about feelings in productive ways. Why is the energy having conversations about talking about feelings in productive ways? Because we talked a little bit about the fact, we were talking a lot about this as Saturn was transiting into Aries. Emotions don't hold the map. Emotions don't hold the map. Emotions want things, right? But this is why we have to look at emotions like children, because sometimes the emotions want something that feels like it's good for us, right? Sometimes the emotions come up, say, I would like a sandwich. Great. I would like a cup of water. Wonderful. Sometimes the emotions come up and say, I would like a couple of things of dynamite and some matches. And we say, where are you going? What are you doing? Okay, come back here. Come back here right now, right? Because that ability of recognizing and identifying, right? That ability of understanding that sometimes our feelings, right? They want to drive us back to trauma, like they're created in points of trauma, right? Sometimes those working through those inclinations, I keep on seeing that what is the gift of the healthy partnership, right? We're able to validate our feelings, right? And this is why it's so important that when we enter partnership, we have our egos healed. Because if we're not in a space of having a healthy relationship, if we're in a relationship with someone that pads our ego too much, right? Then they never come towards us with the space of the clarity of being able to talk to us about the things we need to hear, right? But that's why we keep on hearing that for a lot of the energy that's deep within divine union, right? It's not the moment that you say, right? It's that moment that you say to counterpart, am I doing something wrong? Am I missing something here, right? Because this is the energy that works through something in such a way that they're able to bring it to counterpart to get that feedback, right? To get that energetic note. And sometimes it's positive, right? Sometimes it says, well, maybe you could do something a little bit different here, right? Sometimes it's clarifying. No, that's the trauma talking in you. That's something that you need to let go of. It is the ability to work through our vulnerabilities with someone who sees us with clarity that helps us find that path forward. And so I keep on seeing that feeling of energetic confidence, right? That energetic support, like it's often that nudge. Sometimes it even nudges us in ways that we feel a little bit like, I see like sometimes it even pushes us in ways that we feel a little bit like cautious about, right? I keep on hearing like that encouragement forward, right? Out of our comfort zone, but in ways that feel like it's exactly the direction that we need to head, which is why we talk about the power of change in a healthy partnership that says it's a delight to change with you, because it's the energy that says you change me in ways that I like, by giving me the confidence to be able to do something that I'm trying to work on. You're helping me remove the boundary that the trauma created. And because that is the irony of having healthy boundaries. We build them first when we start relationship and they're honored, and we recognize someone we can build with because they honor our boundaries. And then when we're deep within them, we start to be able to lower the ones that feel like they limit us, right? Those negative self-thoughts, those moments that we hold from the trauma, that we created a boundary because we had to protect ourselves, that we then are able to dissolve with a healthy partner that says, I would tell you if that is necessary, right? It is the confidence and the easement that we find there. Continuing to get clarification between our seven of cups in its reversal in combination with our 6 of cups in its upright. And there's that temperance card. I love to see it. And this is the beauty. And here's the thing. When we build into healthy partnership, and this is why it's so important that, like, again, that ability of understanding and recognizing and identifying what feels balanced. We find, and this is why we saw that this is a lot of the energy right now. I told you, this is a lot of the energy deep within divine union, moving between temperance and justice, right? Which is, we love healthy partnership because it fortifies our judgment, right? When we have those moments that we doubt ourselves, when we have those moments that we carry uncertainty, right? And we trust the gaze of the counterpart, then that ability to work through something with someone that holds the same virtues, holds the same values, holds your dreams as dearly as they hold your own, then you feel that energetic support because it feels like you have someone to help make sure or to fortify your energetic decisions. And this is why it's so important that we heal our ego before we enter partnership. Because the greatest fear that you can have, and again, when we have too big of an ego, right, when energy is afraid to articulate to us how they feel, right, sometimes it feels like more there's a force field where you can't hear anything, because that's not the same. It's not the energy of working through the context of energetic support, but more that sense of circumnavigating something that is uncomfortable. This is why it is so important for us to practice the values of healthy conflict resolution and partnership. Because I guarantee you, if you have not learned to have a healthy argument and you enter partnership, you won't find the partner that's good for you. You'll find the partner that says things to appease you. And that is always the danger zone, because you always want that ability to have a partner that would say, if there's something I'm not seeing, you'll tell me, right? And the counterpart that says, I will always give you what you need, even if it's difficult to receive it. Continuing, final card for today's spread between our Knight of Cups and our Temperance card. 2 of Pentacles in its upright. I love, this is a card I frequently associate with Gemini energy, because it's a lot of the conversation, or a lot of the work that we see in relationality to understanding the balance that we find in healthy partnership. It's all about continuum, right? And the thing about it, and this is what's interesting, and this is why I'm telling you to be a little bit cautious right now in relationality to how to navigate through frustration. Because Gemini and Aries are very similar in relationality to how they navigate time, right? Aries has a very little amount of patience, and they try to expand it by seeing as much progress as possible in the space of patience. Gemini are always trying to do more than one thing at once. Gemini's like, how can we do this but do something else on top of it? Like, how can we like, maybe we could do both things at once. Maybe we double in half the time, right? So Aries is always trying to expand. Aries is always looking for patience, and Gemini is always trying to contract time. Okay, like Gemini's like Gemini's trying to contract time. Aries is trying to find more patience. So in this way, they're very much about being efficient. But the problem is, they don't like. There's like, and again, Gemini and Aries are very much like this. There is one offense. There's one offense that Gemini and Aries can't stand. They don't like having their time wasted. Okay? It's like, because Gemini is like, I could have been doing 3 things right now. Gemini is like, I could have been doing 3 things at once, right? Aries is always like, I will stay as long as I see progress, but I will not stay if there is stagnancy, because Aries knows the sacred breath of partnership is the progress, the patience that is met with progress, right? This is the sustaining breath. So we see even now that there's a lot of that work that may be being navigated right now between the difference of working through a personal frustration and relationality to something that's not happening fast enough, or something that's not happening on your ideal timeline, versus something that may be moving in ways that you might not be able to see, right? Working through that. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to say the same thing I said across all the other frequencies. You're navigating this right now like an eclipse. And what do we do in eclipse energy when you're feeling a little bit frustrated? Okay? Spontaneity with intention. If there's something that you've had your heart set on doing and you start to feel like this is the moment to move that forward, then fine, go ahead and be spontaneous. But do not let your frustration move you backwards instead of forwards. No board flipper energy. None of this, I'm tired of this, because I keep on seeing that there's a little bit of this energetic provocation here. And that's the thing about it. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, Aries with Gemini is like FAFO meets try me, which is, again, I'm going to say this right now. Do not make examples of things. Be the energetic force of change. If you don't like the mood in the room, change the mood. Okay? Be in the space of being energetically adaptable, because a lot of the lessons that we work on through Gemini is understanding the difference between fickleness and pragmatism. What is pragmatism? Working towards a manifestation goal and being adaptable. A healthy manifestation is one that we say, help me see. Help me recognize what I have to do to get there. Help me identify how I have to change. Help me become something more than I am, right? Allowing for that space of the adaptation that we often discover in the journey of moving towards a healthy manifestation goal. Being fickle is changing for change's sake. And often when we're changing for change's sake, if you're saying, well, I was feeling uncomfortable is not a manifestation goal. I didn't like that. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to be your cosmic mom for a minute. I didn't like that is not a manifestation goal, right? And it's not to say, I'm not saying that there aren't these moments of being able to articulate how you feel, but I don't want you to allow a little bit, and again, especially with some of this like Uranus and Taurus right now, things rubbing you the wrong way. I want you to be able to communicate through it and not react to it, right? And that's not to say that there can't be a big change during this energy, but make sure you're changing for the right reasons. Bottom of the deck on today's reading, there it is. A lot of possibility in healing right now. Okay? We've got 5 of Pentacles in its reversal. So being able, like when we have the and I gotta tell you, a little bit of this energy, it's kind of like herding cats energy. Okay? If you've got issues with control, if you are someone who very much likes to feel energetically in control, this is not the energy for you right now. Okay? This is not the energy for you. Okay? It's like a room full of cats. Okay? I want you to think about that. If you're like in a room full of cats and you're like, you guys have got to learn how to sit, you're going to be spinning your wheels, man. You're going to be spinning your wheels. Okay? It's not about, it's working through. Okay, it's not working through trying to control circumstances or situations, but it also is, because it's a reminder that we can never expect or anticipate what we find, but we are always, there is one constant in every room. There is one factor in every room that you walk in that you have absolute and perfect control of. It's you. Okay? So remember, don't try to put that outside of the self. Work on stabilizing within it. And especially as it relates to the emotions right now, right? You've got room to feel how you feel. Think about what you communicate. No hyperbole right now. No hyperbole. Trust me on this, okay? That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the death card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, June 11th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Temperance card. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access as a monthly subscriber to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. And now it's not necessary to catch up. I will be doing my best to give you a recap in each class about everything we've studied thus far. But the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we are studying or have studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 9 hours worth of material in an ever expanding library. You will also have access to a complimentary a mentorship class with me if you choose to receive one, wherein I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There is don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to anything new. I also post my Mystic Meditation articles there, which give you a recap on what we've been seeing energetically. I just posted an article there about our Gemini new moon, what you can expect coming out of it, and how to use this energy best to manifest towards your goals. We are also, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase these per dream or as a series. I would stress that if you purchase the series, you make sure that you keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.